Mic check, mic check. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Three, two, one.
Good Tuesday morning, everyone, and welcome to KSAT News Now, streaming out of the KSAT newsroom. Alicia's back with us. How you doing?
After a full week, right?
Yeah, definitely.
I was here last Tuesday. Then after that, I'm gone.
Yeah, you guys were doing a lot of stuff out on the border, and then obviously covering the governor's debate. So what was that experience like?
That was, I mean, it's always a lot of hard work when you leave the newsroom to go do, a trip like that. But I mean, it's always really cool covering any event that gets national attention or statewide attention. A lot of protocols to follow. So that Friday was a very, very long day. But we got to hear from both Governor Greg Abbott and Beto O'Rourke, and even talk again to some of the families from Uvalde. So it was a good experience. A lot of work, but.
Absolutely.
We got through it.
Yeah, well, you guys did a great job out there with Steve Spreester and some of our other photojournalists, Eddie and Sal. Great job on everyone there that was involved in that project. So today we have obviously a lot of entertainment headlines, some news headlines, and we start there with the music world. Mourning a legend today. Whose life was the inspiration behind a very popular movie, one of my mom's favorite movies.
Really?
Yes. Details ahead.
Yeah. And the story of a soldier whose murder sparked reform will now be told in a documentary. You definitely want to know the details to that, as it involves a Texas soldier.
Yeah, and an LA Rams player delivers one of the biggest hits of the season, but this was not to an opposing team.
Yeah, I want more details on that. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, we have some video that we're going to share of this. Yeah, this was a pretty crazy scene out there in San Francisco last night.
Yeah, but first we want to start in Uvalde. Families of the Robb Elementary victims are continuing their protest, demanding district police officers at the school that were present on May 24th be suspended pending an investigation.
All right, so we know that many questions remain unanswered from Uvalde district officials almost a week after parents started protesting outside the district's central office.
Brett Cross, the father of Uzaya Garcia, has met with district officials, but there has been no progress. Cross said he wants the district officers to be suspended until the investigation is completed. He said they are not asking for unpaid leave for the officers or their jobs, and that's just at the moment.
Yeah, the district had planned a town hall for last night, but then abruptly canceled with no explanation given the day after Cross's protest. And of course, those other family members started. The district's next board meeting is Monday, but there will be no word if that original town hall will be rescheduled.
And this comes as Governor Greg Abbott appointed former U.S. Secret Service agent John P. Scott as the Texas Education Agency's first chief of school safety and security.
Yeah, this is a position the governor created in response to the mass shooting there in Uvalde. Abbott said that Scott will take every action possible to ensure schools are using best practices to safeguard against school shootings or other dangers.
And again, the issue here, you know, I think with any situation that you're in, things change, you have to cancel, you have to reschedule. But for a major meeting to be canceled with no explanation, again, this just does not sit well with the families. They want information, they want change, and quite frankly, we keep seeing examples that they're really not getting either, at least not consistently.
No, not at all. And then there were the optics of them obviously putting up the fence outside the district offices there when they still had not put up fences around all the schools there in the district. So yeah, again, it seems like there's very little progress in these matters for these parents. And you know what, they're just going to continue to do this. I mean, they are remaining steadfast in what they want accomplished here.
And before we move on, going back to Friday's coverage of the press conference that Uvalde families held in the city of Edinburgh ahead of that debate, that was one thing I asked. What happens if the candidate you're endorsing does not win the election? They're like, we're going to keep fighting. We're not going to give up. And they're willing and ready to take this to a federal level. Yeah,
definitely going to continue on with their mission there. So moving on to a major update now into a criminal probe surrounding the deadly February 2021 winter storm. The Barrera County Sheriff's Office says they are not filing any charges in connection to the deaths of 22 people in the San Antonio area.
Yeah, so shortly after the storm, they announced that they were starting this committee, this group to investigate that. So according to BCSO investigators, it was determined that none of the deaths were caused by the multiple delays of rolling and sustained power outages here in San Antonio.
The Texas Power Grid was also blamed for playing a role in the deaths of at least 246 people across the state of Texas.
So back here at home, there are 6 wrongful death lawsuits that have been filed against several power companies and multiple public entities that include CPS Energy and the Electric Reliability Council of Texas. We're talking about ERCOT. Those cases are separate from BCSO's investigation and are still pending. And I actually looked up some information, and this is the thing, right? Some people, we have this article on KSAT.com, and you know, some people have said that this comes as to no surprise, but they are still disappointed. So I went to CPS Energy's winterization preparedness, and they do talk about the changes that they have made. Obviously, I mean, unfortunately, I don't even know what to say, right? The investigation has said that there's no connection there, but that's really hard to believe when you see that there have been changes to avoid interruptions that lasted for days for some people.
Yeah. And that's something obviously, I mean, you know, we kind of go back to the debate the other day. That was a big point of discussion there, just the grid and the safety of the grid, not only with the winter, but also the heat as well. I remember sitting in on a meeting with the city manager and some staff, and they were also talking about some other winterization type of things that they were going to try and get a lot of these older buildings more updated. And also try and have more options for people to potentially go to ahead of these storms. Yes, these emergency locations that people can go instead of waiting 2 days into these long outages, or you know, when it comes to power and water as well. So obviously you hate that an event like that sparked some of these things, but hopefully, in the future, nothing like that happens again.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting how those pending lawsuits play out as well. All right, in other news, the violent and tragic death of U.S. Army soldier Vanessa Guillen is the focus of a new Netflix documentary set to be released this fall.
Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of headlines about this. So the documentary follows her family's fight for historic reform as they take on the U.S. military, one of the largest and, of course, most powerful institutions in our country.
And this was huge. Why is this so important? I remember the mother reaching out first to Spanish language news because of the language barrier, and just to see that they have created so much change. This is great, and you'll be able to learn more about that in the documentary. So many identified with Guillen's story of unfortunately being sexually harassed on base. Guillen actually told her mom she feared retaliation. Her leaders at the base knew, but unfortunately never took action, and that's actually according to an investigation that was carried out. Unfortunately, Guillen was murdered by a fellow soldier, and that happened back in April of 2020.
Yeah, this was a tragic story that obviously made national headlines. Guillen's story inspired an international movement of assault victims demanding action and accountability, and also shed a light on the retaliation against victims of sexual assault or harassment in the military, something that you just said right there, where she had made these outcries and to no avail.
So this documentary, it's called I Am Vanessa Guillen. It premieres on November 17th on Netflix, and that's one that I'll definitely have on my list to watch.
Yeah, it'll be very interesting to kind of look back and see what that family has done, not only to honor their daughter there, but to try and get this much needed reform in the military. Okay, so moving on here to country music icon has got this push alert earlier today on the KSAT News app, so make sure you download that. Loretta Lynn has passed away at the age of 90. The coal miner's daughter's death was confirmed by her family this morning in a statement. They say that she peacefully passed away this morning at her home in Tennessee.
This was sad, and this was shocking too to me, although, 90 years old, she lived a great life, right? We can talk about her musical career. So Lynn was raised in rural Kentucky poverty, but rose from her humble beginnings and became a country music star in the 1960s and 70s. And I mean, just a year ago, she released new music, so she's still relevant.
Yeah, I mean, what are we saying here? Like 4 or 5 decades of music, of this career, this, impact that she had not only in country music, but the music world in general. So during her career, she wrote more than 160 songs, numerous albums. She had 10 #1 albums, 10, that's incredible, and 16 #1 singles on the country charts. Just last year, she released Still Woman Enough, her 46th and final studio album, solo studio album. 46.
Exactly, solo, because I was looking at what live albums she has, the ones where she collaborated with other country artists. So the woman just did it all, and she was still so busy and super active on her social media, which I love. So she became the voice of working class women, and she actually said that she wrote for women. That was her audience. So most famously, her song hit of the 90s, Coal Miner's Daughter, which was an ode to her father who died in the late 1950s.
Yeah, tributes, of course, already pouring in. CMA, the Country Music Awards, tweeting in part, quote, she inspired generations of female musicians and has forever left a mark on country music's history. And again, that movie, iconic movie, again, one of my mom's favorites. I remember watching that growing up. And Alyssa chimed in too. She just got in my ear, said that it was one of her mom's, or is still one of her mom's favorite movies as well.
One of the things that I loved about Loretta Lynn, is her friendship with Patsy Cline, and Lifetime releasing that movie maybe 2-3 years ago, Patsy and Loretta. Oh,
I haven't even heard of that one.
It's so good.
Cool.
It is so good.
Yeah, definitely got to check that out for sure. Okay, so moving on to a trending story here on social media. Not sure if you saw this. Okay, so an LA Rams player took matters into his own hands by taking out a protester who ran onto the field last night.
We usually see security, right?
Yes.
Well, I mean, so it's Bobby Wagner?
Yeah, Bobby Wagner. He's the linebacker for the LA Rams.
So it was this animal rights activist who ran on the field during the Rams 49ers Monday night game, and the protester had a device that was releasing pink smoke And this happened late in the
second quarter. Yeah, so if you're watching us on the visual platforms, you see this protester just running across the field. He's letting out this pink smoke, and then you do see security chasing him, but Wagner comes off the sidelines and just
2 players did. Who
takes
was the other
this
one?
dude out. Yeah, it was another linebacker for the Rams. I don't remember what his name is, but Wagner was the one who did pretty much who laid the wood there, as they like to say. So this protester taking off the field, and as the game resumed, and Wagner, I loved his quote after the game here. I'm going to find it real quick. And basically he said,
It's on there. I just saw someone.
he said, I saw someone running onto the field. It looked like he wasn't supposed to be on the field. I saw
Clearly.
security was having a problem, so I helped them out.
I've always said I wondered how bad it hurts for a normal person, a non-athletic person, to take a hit from one of these players. So the Rams lost the game.
They did.
Womp, womp, womp. But Wagner got to take out some frustration on the field.
It's a clean hit, no targeting.
It was a clean hit, no
flags
targeting.
thrown.
Yeah, I did see one funny joke about this where someone tweeted out yesterday, some like, man, these gender reveals are getting out of hand.
That's funny.
It's
It's a girl. Hey,
so
if that
true.
was the cause.
So true.
So he was protesting.
It's an animal rights activist. So this group has actually been going to a lot of sporting events. I think they tried to get onto the U.S. Open recently. They tried to get onto that court.
Yes.
Yeah. So they've been in soccer matches and
Is
things
that
like
the one
that.
where the guy like set his arm on fire? Was that
Maybe.
was that
I know
Federer's
for
match?
the
Yeah.
NBA as well. There were a couple of women that jumped onto the court when the
Yeah.
Timberwolves were playing, and so yeah, this group. But this is the first time I've seen a player really kind of do the work.
Okay, so I'm reading here. It says that their goal was to raise awareness about a trial that's ongoing right now, and there's some whistleblowers who are charged because they released some videos, and those videos allegedly show animal cruelty from a pig farm.
Okay.
So that the
All right.
pig in the pink would explain.
There you go.
That makes
Hey,
sense.
Justin.
No gender reveal though.
No gender reveal. And a good, it's clean, good, clean hit. We've got a Weather 101 for you guys.
Let's go.
Maybe a
Let's
little
do this.
geography action.
Okay.
You know I love geography.
All right, here we
Okay.
go.
So which city has the highest elevation in Texas? Is it RJ's hometown of El Paso?
The real EP. Sorry.
Okay.
The real? Is there
Kerrville,
a fake one?
Amarillo, or Fort Davis?
The 915. Let's see.
We'll go with,
You wanna go?
yeah, I'll go. I'm going to choose option D, Fort Davis.
Fort Davis.
Ooh, Fort Davis. Where's Fort Davis?
In the Davis Mountains, so that's a good
Okay,
guess.
All right. Yeah, mountainous area there. Is Big Ben in there? No? You don't want to give that away?
That's why I voted.
Well, yeah, I'll tell you, none of these cities are in the Big Bend.
Okay.
Per se.
You know what? I got to stay true. Got to stay true to the 915. Let's go El Paso because I grew up surrounded by those beautiful mountains out
The
there.
915, man.
Yes. Let's do it. El Paso.
Like, give me a hint. Is he wrong?
You're actually right.
Oh,
You nailed
what?
it. Fort Davis. It
a
kind of
trick
makes sense,
question.
right? Yeah, in the Davis Mountains. But let's look at the numbers.
Wow.
Fort Davis is at 4,892 feet, so it beats out most of the cities. But El Paso's second, 3,740. You got Amarillo and then Kerrville. San Antonio, if you were curious, is about 650 feet.
Ugh.
Austin ranges anywhere from 289 to 1450. There's a lot of different elevations in Austin. Dallas, 430, and Houston's only 80 feet above sea level.
wow.
So there you go.
So no hills in Houston.
Very few. Very few. Subtle.
Good
Yeah,
place to go
they're-
train.
Yeah.
I guess their proximity to the coast, right? Makes it kind of
Absolutely.
A little bit,
Exactly. I mean,
Thank you.
thanks for breaking that down. But yeah, I mean, in general, east to west,
Yeah.
Texas, you go up in elevation,
All right, we'll
generally
take
speaking.
Second place, El Paso. There we go.
There you go. Well, speaking of some of these Texas cities, I wanted to compare rainfall, and I think this is fascinating. Lubbock and Amarillo have received more rain than San Antonio has this year. They're at 11 inches and 13
gosh.
inches respectively, and you can see they're about 3 inches below average. We've only received 8.2, and we are 16 inches below average. El Paso is at 6.59, just below us, but even then, they're close to their average. I mean, we're in range of El Paso, and we should be way, way above that number. So just to give you some perspective on the rainfall. We do see a little bit of action on the radar. These are all very light returns, just a couple sprinkles. The cloud cover really is the big story. It's been pretty cloudy to start, but we're going to see these clouds start to move away. We'll see clearing skies. We're already seeing that in the hill country, and we'll see mostly sunny skies, I think, by the afternoon. So here's your KSAT 12-hour forecast. 85 degrees at 2 o'clock. We're up around 89 by 5 p.m. That's our high temperature, so close to 90. And then as we head into the evening, pretty comfortable evening, 70s and 80s with clear skies, guys.
Ooh, okay.
There you
Clear
go.
skies, very nice forecast there.
Going back to the numbers that you shared about rainfall, you would never think that Lubbock
No.
Amarillo was the other one, right?
It's been a weird year. Even places like Salt Lake City and Denver have similar rainfall totals than us. I mean, the desert has basically reclaimed San
Yeah.
Antonio.
Wow, that sounds very, very dark.
Sorry.
Desert is really
It's true. It happens from time to time.
It's kind of scary, actually.
Thank you, Justin.
Yep.
I'm just looking at more tweets about this Bobby Wagner thing. It says, Bobby Wagner, don't care about your gender reveal. He is the daddy now.
Oh, gosh.
People are having a lot of fun here. I mean, look, don't go onto the field, fans, please. We've seen a lot more
Most of them
fans
wanna
just
get
kind of,
tackled.
yeah, a lot of. Remember when Dak went out in that first game, and then there were some fans that were getting a little rowdy with him, throwing some stuff in his direction.
Oh, that's
fans
when
just
he
need to
went, that's
relax.
when he ran out, though.
Oh,
Not
after-
though, as in like that makes it okay.
Yeah,
But yeah.
yeah.
Okay,
These
you're right.
fans just need to
They
chill
just
out.
get wild. But this
sure.
wasn't a fan. These are just
I know
protesters.
this was a protester. Yeah, definitely.
All right. Well, thank
Well-
you so much for tuning in this Tuesday morning. We'll see you tomorrow at 11 a.m. Have a good day.
Bye, y'all.